apocalypses. Or I guess post-apocalypses. We seem to have this notion in our heads that the apocalypse is going to be an absolute disaster. And even though we destroy everything, humans somehow survive. Fallout, Mad Max, others. There's also the thought that everything is going to be absolutely awful. Think of 1984, Brave New World, Fahrenheit 451. All of these are visions of the future that are absolutely terrible. Or we think of the future as incredibly grimy and technopunk, like Cyberpunk or Blade Runner. The idea of San Fran, Tokyo is pretty awesome, but to live in that world would be pretty gross and kind of unrealistic. Probably the most realistic out of the ones we've just discussed, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's talk about why post-apocalypses are incredibly unrealistic. And at the end, I'm going to tell you what I think the most realistic post-apocalyptic world is in film, games, and media. Let's begin. Welcome to Hyperfixation, and I am in a beanbag chair, I guess. Maybe I'll come up with a better intro. Carrying on! My cousins are playing video games in the next room. I picked a terrible time to do this. So let's talk about Fahrenheit 451 and 1984. In both of those, the government is incredibly overreaching in a rather obvious manner. In Fahrenheit 451, they are controlling people's thought by not allowing them to read anything. All books have to be destroyed, and firefighters have a total dedication to the government, and rather than fighting fires, they burn things. And then if we want to talk about 1984, Orwell describes a Cold War-esque world where effectively the United States leads the majority of the Western world against communism, kind of. Orwell's world is one where all information, all news, and all media are controlled by the state. And there's an element of homegrown espionage and surveillance that makes the Patriot Act look like a birthday present. The government is not constantly watching everyone at all times. However, anyone at any time can be watched, no matter where they are. The whole point of 1984 is that our main character finds a place where he's not capable, he thinks he's not able to be seen by the government, and he decides to have a lot of sex in that place. I'm not going to explain it any further. Go read the book. It's weird and uncomfortable. So, in my opinion, the reason those two are unrealistic is it gives the government way too much credit. Now, remember this. Especially in the United States, officials are elected, which means your neighbor Steve could technically be president. Do you think Steve can keep a secret? No, Steve's a moron. You wouldn't tell him that because the man makes amazing burgers and knows how to grill a steak. But Steve's a dumbass. There's no way he could run a government that effective for an entire third of the world's population. Granted, that's more specifically speaking to 1984 than Fahrenheit 451, because in 1984, the world is split into three quarters. Can you tell I'm bad at math? The world is split into thirds, and effectively, a small group of people control everyone. And while that's a scary thought, and it seems like that's what's happening in today's world, it is not. Because people are still people, and people are stupid. The biggest problem I have with the majority of conspiracies is that they give too much credit to people that don't deserve it. The CIA has not been able to keep anything secret for very long. The Be Whatever spy plane, Josh, put a note in the corner. The Be Whatever spy plane was known by the Russians basically from day one. The only reason it was an effective spy plane is it flew too high for Russian rockets to hit. So it was not the fact that the United States was able to keep a secret, but rather they put their secret in plain sight so far away that it couldn't be touched, unless someone wanted to fire off a nuclear missile, in which case
that would have caused a problem.
Another example of the CIA really not being able to keep a secret is MK Ultra. MK Ultra, I wonder who's winning. MK Ultra was kind of kept secret for a while. It was an open secret among government agencies. MK Ultra was investigated by the government proper, but they didn't do anything about it because, I don't know, reasons. They had wars and stuff to fight, I guess. And they really didn't care what the CIA was doing because, I don't know, they thought the CIA was cool.
So anyway,
MK Ultra was ended officially at some point. Many will argue that it was carried on. That's a whole nother story. Then a whole bunch of paperwork was misfiled, and a giant investigation was launched in MK Ultra when all those misfiled papers were found accidentally by someone doing spring cleaning. Because, and I cannot say this loud enough, people are stupid and they run your country.
Okay.
So Fahrenheit 451 might be a little bit more realistic in a way, because I do think Nazi Germany was capable of influencing people in a similar fashion, just not to that degree. Getting people to agree to burn all of their books might be kind of difficult.
Because nerds.
Nerds and geeks like books. It's going to be really hard to get us to destroy all of our books. And granted, the point of Fahrenheit 451 is there's a secret society of nerds that live in the tunnels that keep their books and they read the Bible. Point being, there would be way more of those people. And again, it wouldn't be a secret because people can't keep secrets. And in order to make that many people do what they want, they would have to unalive a lot of people. And that would be even harder to keep secret. But Josh, what about all the times that they had, shut up, I know the history? That would still be a bigger problem. You probably have books on your shelf. You probably would not want to give them up. And you're just you. There are millions of people just like you. You think they're going to effectively take out millions of not just Americans, but people around the globe to keep the narrative straight? I don't think so. It's unrealistic. Moving the hell on. I'm getting too old for beanbag chairs. Okay, what do I want to do next? Sanford, Tokyo. Okay, Sanford, Tokyo.
Oops.
Sanford, Tokyo is the general setting for a lot of near future sci-fi. So a lot of flying car futures have a San Francisco-esque setting where it is grimy, it looks like the 80s, everyone wears a trench coat, and Harrison Ford is always there. I don't know why, I don't ask questions, I just accept things the way they are. Point being, there are two constants: 80s aesthetic with extra dirt and Harrison Ford. I guess The Matrix doesn't have Harrison Ford, but it could. That's a little more turn of the millennium. I'm splitting hairs with myself here. Point being, near future, leather, grime, probably robots, and either Keanu Reeves or Harrison Ford. I think these are rules we can all agree on. San Francisco futures tend to be very dark. They do see us killing off a lot of organic life. In the case of The Matrix, we get into a war with the machines that kills all life except for humans, who are then enslaved by the robots as batteries. But as Futurama told us...
But wouldn't almost anything make a better battery than a human body? Like a potato? Or a battery?
So this is not a well thought out plan by the robots. When you look at the Terminator future, it's very dusty. And not a whole lot of organic life is left, but there is enough organic life to support humanity to some degree or another. We are also at war with the robots in that one. I think the problem might be the humans and not the robots, though.
In both cases.
Getting back to San Francisco, the most prominent example of that will be Blade Runner. Blade Runner seems to exist almost entirely in one city. It doesn't, but it sure looks that way because the whole world is designed to look like Japan in the United States, but dirty and flying cars. So this world is very urban. It is very close together. Star Wars suffers from a little bit of San Francisco-ness, despite being set in the distant past in a galaxy far, far away. With everything being built on top of itself, it puts people in super close proximity, a problem that Tokyo specifically has been struggling with for decades, and a problem that Los Angeles is now starting to see is unavoidable for them. San Francisco futures are not realistic because people are too bleak. I don't think people would give up that much hope. But Josh, you're having too much...
Shut up.
For the second time. I can't even hear you, but I know you're talking. It's hopeless. San Francisco futures are hopeless. And I think hopeless humans don't live very long. Depressed people don't live as long as not depressed people. Hope is a necessity. It is a vital element to survival on a grand scale. Depicting a hopeless future is depicting a future where humanity just kind of does themselves in, not through warfare and not through greed, but rather through lack of the will to live. So now that I've brought everything crashing to a halt, what do I think is the most realistic post-apocalypse in all of film? The Lorax. Yes, you heard me correctly. The Lorax. The Dr. Seuss story. All right, in the Lorax, two really important things happen. The first is the massive deforestation of the entire world for a luxury item. This is something we have been doing for hundreds of years. We are known for our destructive capabilities, and in the Lorax, that destructive nature is taken to a logical end. It does not destroy the world. It does make it a lot less fun to live in. And it makes beautiful things a thing of the past in some cases. It does not destroy all beauty. As we can see, Zac Efron is still in love with Taylor Swift. Both of those are beautiful things that are trying to get it. Something's got away from me. I don't know where it's going.
Moving on.
The second most important thing that happens in the Lorax is that someone monetizes breathing. So with the destruction of all the trees on Earth, the quality of air has diminished. Air is still breathable, and that is an important note to make because the majority of the oxygen on Earth does not come from trees, but from algae. Boom, you're educated now. Kind of forgot I brought the drapes down by accident. I'm gonna have to put those back up. All right, so the deforestation of the Earth doesn't make life impossible. It does make life kind of gross. So we lose all the animals. We lose all the birds, the forest animals, the woodland creatures, the mustachioed yellow magical dudes. We lose all of those. And the majority of humanity has to move inside the city walls. Now, the city is shown not to have bad air necessarily because all the trees are gone, but because all of the industry is in town and people live right next to all the smog machines. So, rather than fix the smog problem, somebody makes clean air and sells it. So rather than solve the problem, they merely treat the symptoms
For profit.
That is the most American thing I have ever seen on film, except for maybe Team America. America! Fuck yeah! I got two microphones now. The people in the Lorax are not entirely unconcerned with what's going on in the world. They're just easily bribed. The villain of the story is not a Nazi. The villain of the story is a corporate businessman who's trying to turn a profit because people are lazy. Knowing that people will not give up their luxury unless they are forced to, plays to their greed and to their desire to be comfortable. The fact that this post-apocalypse is still comfortable is the most believable thing about the Lorax. Humans will cause change when they are uncomfortable. It is the things we see on the news that make us uncomfortable that cause us to make change. We protest war and social issues when they make us uncomfortable, when we are shown the brutality of these moments. And in the Lorax, when people are shown the beauty they're missing out on, they come together and they sing a song and they plant one tree. And that's people. Zac Efron doesn't save the world, he just makes it better. So remember, the world doesn't need to be saved, it just needs to be better. You don't live in a terrible place, unless you live in a terrible place, in which case, I am so sorry, how did you get the internet? I don't know, I guess there's internet in terrible places, right? Probably, maybe. The most believable post-apocalypse is not one that happens through catastrophe and war, but rather through laziness and negligence. If the world goes belly up and things get really bad, it will be because we didn't do something, not because of something we did, but because of all the things we should have done that we didn't do. So, vote, I guess. This got really serious, and I was really just kind of hoping for something fun and stupid to do. So I'm uncomfortable, and as a human who will change when things get uncomfortable, I'm going to go walk over there, turn the camera off, and get out of here. Like, subscribe, comment about how I'm stupid and I'm missing the point, and I don't know. Bye.